So every single year, the dance world is like evolving, and there's a new move that you have to try to like stick and land or whatever. And the hardest part is definitely trying to compete and like stay up to that like level. This is Jordan Misinski, and you're listening to Line for Line Podcast.
All right. And just like that, we're back on another very special episode of Line for Line Podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker. Before we get ready to get started, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave an interactive comment for me and my guest. And then we'll let our guest introduce herself to the world.
Hi, I'm Jordan Misinski. I am a competitive dancer at Step by Step Dance Academy. I am a sophomore at St. Joe's, and I'm 16.
So can you just tell us a little bit about what was going through your mind when Line for Line Podcast reached out to you to come on the show?
Yeah, so I've been following you guys for a long time now, and a lot of the people that I know are really into it. Mm-hmm. And when you guys contacted me, I was like, this is super cool. I really want to do it.
Did you get any type of feedback once we did post the intro for the world to see?
Yeah, a lot of my friends were commenting and snapping me and texting me like, oh my God, this is super cool.
No, what was going through your mind when you were just taking all of that in?
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like happening. Like, this is like an amazing opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. So as we get ready to get started this episode, just tell us a little bit about why you became a dancer and how you became a dancer.
Yeah, so when I was younger, my parents put me into all like the recreational sports. I was doing gymnastics and soccer and all of those. Mm-hmm. And I started at the age of 2. And then when I was 7, my coaches at my studio asked me to be on their dance team. Uh-huh. And I've been dancing with them ever since.
Yes, ma'am. Now, can you just tell us a little bit about your most memorable performance as a dancer as of date?
Yeah, so we go to nationals every other year with my studio, and we get to go to a lot of fun places. Like, we've been to Galveston, and we've been to, like, Myrtle Beach.
Wow.
And on my first year on team, we went to Nashville, Tennessee, and I got to perform on the Grand Ole Opry stage.
No way.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind being at such a big stage, so young and into this?
Yeah, so I'm really into country music, so I was like, this is really, really, really amazing. Uh-huh. And it was like a huge opportunity, and we got actually invited there. So It was like, wow, people are noticing us. This is amazing.
Yes, ma'am. So obviously you travel with your team as well, too. Can you just tell us a little bit about the camaraderie between you and your partners?
Yeah, so when we travel, it's a lot of like work that we put into it in like the studio and outside of the studio. And my teammate, Sophie Larson, she's like my best friend, and we do everything together.
Oh, wow. That's so funny. What advice would you give to that lady who's aspiring to be a dancer and to be able to travel the world and get invited places like you are?
Yeah, just keep pushing. If like there's any doubts or any struggles that you're going through, you just have to keep pushing. Mm-hmm. For a dancer, it's really hard to make it into the dance community, and because it's really competitive world. So you just got to keep pushing yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can you tell us how you put your own touch in your dancing techniques?
Yeah, so with dance, there's a lot of ways to incorporate like acting and emotion. And I am a competitive lyrical dancer. So when you use your emotions in a dance, there's more story behind it, and there's more like you feel in the audience like a bigger connection with the like dancer. Yes,
ma'am. So you said what type of dances that you do specifically?
Yeah, I do a whole bunch. I do ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, and then we do point as well. And then our whole studio does a big production number.
And which one would you say comes the easiest to you?
Probably either hip-hop or contemporary.
Wow. Have you ever forgotten like a dance step, technique, routine, or anything like that? And if you did, how is it that you came back to it?
Yeah, so when you're doing it, sometimes obviously it slips your mind a little bit because you get lost in the moment. And when that happens, sometimes you start to improv, you know, especially if you're doing a solo, you can like pull it off a little bit. But then once you get back into the music, then you can find your way back.
Yes, ma'am. Now, would you say your rehearsal process has changed over time and as you got deeper into this?
Yeah, so when you're like rehearsing and everything, as you get like older, your moves get more technical and your different styles get more advanced. What would you say is the most important trait to have as a dancer? Versatility, definitely. Yes, going from like a hard-hitting hip-hop where you have to get down and low to like a really put together and technical lyrical piece, it's very different.
Yes, ma'am. Now, what would you say has been the hardest part for you to master when it comes to the hip hop part of it? Excuse me. I can't talk today for some reason.
Yeah, no, just getting in that groove. You have to like find the beat and you have to find the rhythm within the dance. And it's taken me a couple of years to find it. But once you get it, like get it in your pocket and you're in the dance, then it clicks.
Yes, ma'am. So just tell us a little bit about when you're getting ready to hit the stage, you're getting ready to go on there and do your moves. What's flowing through your mind and how are you before you go on?
Yeah, so I like to play a lot of like pump up songs to get me in the vibe and like get my blood flow going and everything. And I do a lot of stretching before, and then I practice all the hard moves in my routines like flips or tricks. And then me and my friends all do our little secret handshake that we do before we go on stage.
Stop
backstage.
playing around. For real.
Yeah.
Oh my God, now I feel like basketball vibes right now. Seriously,
Yes.
you guys really do like...
Yeah,
handshake?
backstage we're all like doing our little handshakes and everything.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so funny. What would you say is the biggest inspiration you have as a dancer?
My biggest inspiration definitely comes from my coaches and like the famous people I look up to in dance. And I'd say like the thing that they've told me the most is that no matter what, you just have to keep pushing yourself and that it comes with time.
Now, can you explain how you handle stress and added pressure, if any?
Yeah, definitely. So in the community, there's a lot of support, but there's a lot of competitiveness. It's a very individual sport as well as a team sport. But within that, there's a lot of like, I'm going to try to be the best at this. Even though the person next to me is really good at it, I'm going to be better than them. So when doing that, you just have to think about like yourself and put yourself first and focus on yourself and your goals. And like circling back to that always like helps me find like the soft spot.
Yes, ma'am. Now, how long would you say it took you to become a stellar performer when you're on the stage?
It's taken me quite some time to like get out of my comfort zone and going to like convention classes and dancing with like the people that really care about me and supporting each other has helped me. But it's definitely taken me a couple years to like get those facials down and get out of my comfort zone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
What would you say has been the hardest part getting accustomed to of being able to perfect your craft?
Yeah, so every single year the dance world is like evolving and there's a new move that you have to try to like stick and land or whatever. And the hardest part is definitely trying to compete and like stay up to that like level.
I think a lot of people at home want to know as well too. How is it that you find comfort for your feet on being like on your tiptoes and on your feet all day? How is it that you find comfort in that?
Yeah, so they have like toe pads sometimes and you can use like cotton and wool inside of there as well, but a lot of people don't use those.
Whoa,
Yeah.
sounds like Blister City.
So you're on like a little cinder block and when you go up on there, it does hurt, but you have to find like the perfect way and you form your feet to your shoes and then it starts feeling a little bit better.
So in other words, you basically have to be around perfection for it not to hurt as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of training. You have to take a lot of ballet classes and get your ankles really strong to be able to do it.
Oh, wow. What would be your favorite type of dance that you like to push towards other people and maybe teach them? What would be like your go-to if you had a new person coming in to learn how to dance?
Yeah, so tap is actually really fun. It's not my forte. I'm not the best. I can't just like whip it out of nowhere. But like showing someone like all the different sounds they can make with their feet is like really cool because they're really amazed by it.
Yes, ma'am. Now, with you being a dancer, what would be that thing that you would say to people to give dance more support? And I'm not saying dance doesn't have support now, but just to bring more light, more attention to it as well. What will be your pitch for people?
Yeah, so I would say to look at dance as not as a hobby, but to look at it more as a sport and to look at like everything that goes into it as a dancer. And if we can all like support each other within it, then I think the community can like really grow and be bigger.
Yes, ma'am. Now, with it being a competitive sport, would you say there has been ups and downs that you maybe faced during your time of being a dancer?
Yeah, definitely. At like different competitions and everything, sometimes you get very anxious and everything. And being around that environment, it can be very, very stressful and a lot. So it's definitely like a bit hard, especially if you go off stage and you know you didn't stick it like the landing on the flip or you didn't do your turns your best, it can be a little like upsetting.
Yes, ma'am. Now, where would you say it is that you would like to take your career of dancing?
Yes. So in college, if the college I go to has a good dance team, I would love to like dance in college on a team there. So it would be really, really fun.
Yes, ma'am. Now, as we get ready to close out an amazing episode of Line for Line, I'm pretty sure there's a couple people out there that maybe helped you along the way, gave you motivation, maybe taking you to practice, or maybe friends that you would like to shout out and say hello and thank you to.
Yeah, so I would like to thank all of my coaches, Sam, Bailey, Robin, and Amy. And I would like to thank also my Lancerettes dance team, as well as my duet partner, Sophie, and all the girls I dance with, and my parents as well.
Yes, ma'am. Before we get ready to close out the last question, what would you say is next for you, young lady?
I would say that the next competitions are for me. I have 3 back-to-back competitions the next 3 weekends.
Oh my gosh, young lady, sounds like you're a very busy young lady then, huh?
Yes.
All right. Well, with that being said, ma'am, we appreciate you for coming to Line for Line. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You see it all. Billboards in the plex. Pool with the mansion. Account full of wrecks. Podcast preaching. Reaching for the stars. Coops all foreign every week, a home massage.